Not every game ages gracefully. The start of the 3D era was a time of janky platforming controls and jagged visuals enveloped in fog. Even classics like Mario 64 can be rough with today's lens. But as soon as devs got accustomed to 3D tech, games started looking good again. Though not all played good. Many PS3-era games struggled to break past repetitive hash and slack mechanics, while others leaned on gimmicks. Others feel fresh and intuitive, sometimes rivaling modern game releases. So here are 15 older games that still rock in 2025, both visually and mechanically. Dead Space. If there's one game that hardly needs a remake today, it is the original Dead Space. Now, don't get me wrong, the remake is awesome, but the 2008 original still holds up remarkably well. The graphics were at the top of the industry and still look amazing today. But it's the way the atmosphere was crafted that particularly leaves a strong impression on us. The diegetic HUD is partly to thank for that top-notch immersion, but the necromorph designs are especially timeless in their ability to send a chill down gamers' spines. Dead Space also doesn't have an ounce of jank in its DNA. It feels remarkably precise and intuitive to play today. We're still seeing tons of AAA games use that iconic over-the-shoulder perspective, and we have the original Dead Space to thank for convincing us that it's awesome. Crysis. Back in 2007, Crysis was the Rosetta Stone benchmark for PC performance. Today, maybe not as much, but it can still be confused as a modern game. It was one of the games boasting advanced volumetric lighting and crazy far draw distances, and the lush jungle environments made for an attractive display piece to show off that tech. Crysis was also pretty dang modern with its gameplay systems. The campaign let players freely explore the tropical sandbox with its wide linear design. Like the studio's Far Cry titles, a smorgasbord of vehicles were up for the taking to accomplish missions in varying ways. If the day cycle or gameplay didn't impress, well, the visuals sure did, and continue to do so. Red Dead Redemption. The year was 2010. Gamers were absolutely starving for an immersive Wild West game, and Rockstar was the one studio poised to do it. They already released Red Dead Revolver in 2004, and had the technology to finally meet the setting's great potential. And that they did. Red Dead Redemption's sprawling open world is filled with fun activities and more interesting personalities that you can fit in a stagecoach. It's Rockstar's best pre-GTA 5 game to return to having a good time without much friction, and it's highly recommended that players go back to this gem to understand Red Dead Redemption 2, as it functions as a sequel to that game. It's not hard to fall in love with it today, given the tight gunplay and solid graphics. Max Payne 3. Max Payne 3 is the second pre-GTA 5 Rockstar game that is the easiest to return to today. The big selling point is the bullet time mechanic from the previous entries being turned up a couple of notches. There's not a single game that I can think of that does slow-mo shootouts as well as Max Payne 3. The modern third-person shooting feels great to control, and carefully lining up slow-mo dive shots is a joy. Being the Rockstar game that it is, cinematics are top-notch as well, with zero loading between cutscenes and player-controlled action sections. A port to today's platforms would be appreciated, but the graphics actually hold up just fine without needing an upgrade. Dying Light 1. Dying Light achieved something few games outside of Assassin's Creed were willing to do at the time, and that's a realistic and smooth parkour system. What's more, you can parkour across pretty much any building or object in the large open world. Besides the advanced parkouring, the game also boasted dynamic day and night lighting that still impresses today. Dying Light is the newest game on this list, but the dark atmosphere and gritty story have an edge over its sequel, Dying Light 2, making it well worth playing 10 years later, especially to see Kyle Crane's earlier adventures. Heavy Rain. David Cage games were always ahead of their time, but it wasn't until Heavy Rain that they started being legitimately fun to play on top of that. You can probably thank Heavy Rain for PlayStation's recent narrative emphasis. The game was largely an interactive choose-your-own-adventure movie, but unlike Telltale's string of narrative games, Heavy Rain had truly spectacular graphics that many felt were lifelike at the time. The game still holds up today, partly thanks to its simple gameplay mechanics, and it's hard to make quick-time events janky, and high-budget graphics and acting talent. Ninja Gaiden Black. And then there's rarities like Ninja Gaiden Black, which boast deeply technical gameplay that still feels smooth today. For being a 20-year-old game, it sure does feel fluid and intuitive to pull off combos, thanks in part to great optimization. It also holds up to current trends in game difficulty. Ninja Gaiden Black was notorious for being one of the most difficult games at the time, but it fits well beside contemporary titles like Elden Ring and Hollow Knight Silksong with its difficulty. With distinct art direction and stylishly detailed character models, it is a game that is still easy on the eyes. Borderlands 2. Many were rubbing their eyes when Borderlands 4 was revealed. Accusations were thrown around that it looked like the previous Borderlands games, and they're not too far off. Borderlands has maintained a bold, cartoonish look since the first game, but it's really the second entry that polished and solidified its identity. Just like the graphics, the gunplay holds up remarkably well today, and with memorable villains like Handsome Jack, the story remains the best the series has ever seen. Driveclub. If you can get a hold of a rare copy of Driveclub, do yourself a favor and grab it. The PS4 exclusive was notorious for its photorealistic rain effects and grounded yet approachable driving mechanics. I regularly see racing fans comparing modern driving games' weather effects to Driveclub. That's how dang good the game looked. While the online component can't be experienced today, the single-player career has plenty of races and challenges to warrant the price of admission. And with a simcade handling model that's not too intimidating to learn yet difficult to master, you will find yourself glued to the rain-soaked windshield for many hours, even amid today's racers. Far Cry 2. Now I know, it's easy to overlook Far Cry 2 now that we have over 6 entries, but it does some pretty unique things. A number of playable and non-playable mercenaries can be rescued and hired to go on missions with you. These teammates can be permanently killed if they're not rescued or healed in time, making it easy to feel attached to them. Other than the buddy system, the game just looks great, featuring a robust African open-world environment, and if you're a fan of the Far Cry series, the second game is a must-play that holds up perfectly fine today. The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Ever since Skyrim's release in 2011, players have memed it to death. One of the most popular memes, that being its constant string of re-releases, still finds itself with legs even now. It's the game that just refuses to die, whether it's because of its wealth of quests, role-playing possibilities, or extensive mod support. Even without any mods, it still looks and plays fantastic. And sure, you'll encounter a handful of backwards flying dragons, but even the bugs are worth experiences in this beloved open-world RPG. Batman Arkham City. 2011 was a good time for games in general. Arkham City also came out in that year and represents Rocksteady's zenith. Arkham City is their most beloved game for a reason. It's got the tightest example of their signature free-flow combat, some of the most intricate and addictive world design, and some amazing characterization. A lot of late PS3 and Xbox 360 games still manage to look good today, but Arkham City looks and plays downright flawless. Uncharted 2 Among Thieves. And speaking of timeless PS3 titles, Uncharted 2 just refuses to feel outdated. The roller coaster pacing and attention to detail continues to be emulated and studied today. Even detractors of Uncharted 1's gameplay love the way that Uncharted 2 improved aiming and enemy encounter design. If you want to see what makes the Uncharted series so special, well, check out Uncharted 2. It sets up the rest of the games wonderfully and plays like a modern-day adventure title. Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots. But if there's any PS3 game that went above and beyond its contemporaries, it's MGS4. In true Kojima fashion, the storytelling is outfitted with a ridiculous amount of bells and whistles, perhaps even overstaying its time in the spotlight just a bit, and I'm looking at you, hour-long cutscene. Motion capture was some of the most advanced for the time, and the voice talent gave Hollywood a run for their money. Many fans even say the gameplay is the best the series has ever had. It's also the only game in the MGS series besides Peace Walker to feature the psych gauge. Stealth was emphasized because killing spiked that gauge, making Snake more prone to shaking while shooting. Now if only we'd get a remaster or port of MGS4 so that more players could experience it. The Last of Us. The Last of Us has seen numerous remasters, a remake, and even a show, and for good reason. It represents Naughty Dog at their absolute peak. The Last of Us shocked just about everyone with its realistic graphics and motion capture in 2013. And the brutal melee takedowns and the hard-hitting story kept us hooked ever since. It's hard to overstate just how good the original game plays all of these years later, which is why all these remasters and remakes seem somewhat redundant to many fans. The original holds up so well today, and with a story so iconic and gripping, we won't see the last of The Last of Us anytime soon.
And that'll be about it for this one. If you guys like what we're doing at Gaming Vault, please consider subscribing to our channel, and I'll see you guys on the next video.